right? So A is the right answer. David said to John, "Why are you so late?" Again a question word, so it will remain the same. Why are you so late? If you change it into a positive statement, it will become you are so late, right? And as we change its tense, so it will become you were so late, right? So you were so late. Now, David asked John, because it's a question, why? Okay, now John, we know John is a male. So when second person comes, it changes into the object of the reporting speech, right? So it will become he. David asked John why he, and then why you are so late, you were so late. So when it becomes he, so we need was, not were. So why he was so late, and no question mark, it is in the period, right? Look at the second. David asked John why was he so late is a question, right? Why was he so late? You have to change it into a positive statement. David asked John why he is so late. This is right, but the tense is not changed, so that's why it's wrong. David asked John why he was so late, and a question mark, so we don't need a question mark. So A is the right answer. Okay. Please take me to the officer, said the visitor to them. Now, you have to change its narration, right? First of all, when you get an imperative statement, I hope you people know an imperative statement is it's a sentence which gives command, or it shows a request or an entreaty, right? Such type of statements are known as imperative, right? So please take me to this to the officer. Whenever you get an imperative statement, so right after the reporting verb, you need to use infinitive. What is infinitive? Infinitive is to plus base form of the verb, right? Okay. So said the visitor to them. The visitor, as it is please, so it's a request, right? So the visitor requested. The visitor requested to them. So the visitor requested them, right? You don't need to use to after request, right? The visitor requested them, and now we need infinitive, so it is infinitive to take, right? Take me. Now the visitor is probably male, so we have used he here, him here. So the visitor requested him to take. The visitor requested them to take him to the officer. Now if you look at the second, the visitor told. Now we don't need to use told here because it's an imperative statement, so you have to change the reporting verb into the nature of the reported speech, of the imperative statement. So the nature is a request, right? It's a request, so you need to use request as a verb here. The visitor told them to take him to the officer may not be correct. The visitor wanted the officer to take him to there, does not make any sense, right? So A is the right answer. Awake, she said to the men, do not trouble your family anymore. Now, away and do not trouble your family anymore, both are imperatives, right? Let us look at them. Now, she said to them, she asked the men, she asked the men, and she asked the men. No problem with this. No, she asked the men to go away. Now, as I already told you that we need an imperative. In imperative, we need infinitive. So, to go away and not trouble the family anymore. Okay. She asked the men not to trouble the family that was away anymore. Does not make sense, right? That was away anymore is a problem. She asked the men to go away and not trouble his family anymore. Now, she said to the men. Now, the men here is having some relation with the word your, right? So your is a second person, and second person changes according to the object. So object is man, so it will become he or his or him, right? Now, she asked the men to go away, no problem. She asked the men to go away and not trouble the family anymore and not trouble his family anymore. So good is not good when better is possible. This is also right, but this is absolutely right, okay? So we have got to take C as the right option. He said, how cruel of him. Now, he remarked, this is an exclamatory sentence, right? So you have to change the reporting verb according to the nature of the exclamatory sentence, right? So how cruel of him is definitely a comment, a remark, right? So he remarked that it was very cruel of him. He remarked on his great cruelty. No. He remarks cannot be possible because it is past, so it cannot be present. So A is definitely the right answer. He said to me, please visit my company tomorrow. Again, it's an imperative statement, so we have to change the verb into infinitive, right? So he said to me, and then he requested me and said to me, right? So these two have the chances to become right, okay? Because the verb has been changed according to the nature of the imperative sentence, right? He requested me to visit his company tomorrow. Now my is first person, so first person will change according to the subject, right? So he requested me to visit his company tomorrow. But we know that in direct and indirect speech we change tomorrow into the next day or the coming day, right? So if you look at C, he requested me to visit his company the next day. Follow all the rules of direct and indirect speech. That's why C is the right answer. He asked me if I had been ill. If I had been ill, now this is indirect speech, right? So first of all, look at the tense after if. I had been ill. I had been ill is past perfect tense. It's past perfect tense. So past perfect tense comes out from simple past tense. Simple past tense. When there is simple past tense in the direct speech, it's past perfect in the indirect speech, right? So we need to look for a statement which carries simple past tense, right? So are you ill is simple present tense. Were you ill is past. Is there you been ill? It doesn't make any sense. And have you been ill cannot be possible because it's grammatically wrong. So B is the right answer because it is simple past, right? She works date KTH. Now, remember, if you talk about your work, your job, so when you mention the name of the place in particular, you use at. But when you mention the nature of that place, like what kind of place is that, so you use in there, right? So she works, now KTH is Khyber Teaching Hospital is the particular name of the hospital. It's not that place, it's actually the name of that hospital. So we need to use at here. She works at KTH. Okay, now look at the second sentence. It has some relation with the previous one, the earlier one. She works a hospital. Now, no particular name, just the name of the place, right? The name of that building. What do we call that building? Hospital, right? So we don't need at here because it's not the particular name. It's the name of that building, that place, what we call that place, right? So she works in a hospital. Does it make sense? Thank you. Okay. We met him days the evening, in the evening, at the evening, off the evening, or none of these, right? So with evening we use in. Remember, with longer parts of the day, we use in. With shorter parts of the day, we use at. For example, morning is longer. Morning is longer. So we say in the morning. Then breakfast is shorter. So we say at breakfast, right? The same way, noon is shorter. So we use at. And afternoon is longer. So we use in. Evening is longer. So we use in. Midnight is shorter. So we use at. So we met him in the evening is the right answer. You must abide the rules. Remember, after the verb abide, we use by, right? So you must abide by rules, not with rules or not at rules. He asked Dash ride a bike. Whenever you get the word ask, it may take 2 and it may take 4, right? When does it take 2 and when does it take 4, right? It takes 2 when it is followed by a verb, and it takes 4 when it is followed by a noun, right? So if you see ride, ride is a verb. So he asked to ride a bike, right? About cannot be possible and for cannot be possible. She asked Dash an ice cream. As we already discussed that after ask, we use for when it is followed by a noun, right? So an ice cream is a noun. So she asked for an ice cream is the right answer. She accused him. After accuse we use of, right? So she accused him of stealing her bag, not about and not for. They blame the pilot Dash the crash. After blame we use for, right? We blame people for. We don't blame people about, or we don't blame people at, right? So they blame the pilot for the crash, right? If you have Dash good friends in life, life is worth living. If you have few, if you have a few, if you have little, and if you have a little. Remember, there is a difference between few and a few. What's that? When something is less in number, in negative sense, you use few. When something is less in number, in positive sense, you use a few. For example, we need 3 boys to paint the wall, right? We need 3 boys to paint the wall. And there are more than 3 boys, right? So what would we say? Would we say that we need few boys or we need a few boys? Definitely a few, because we need less number of people and it is positive for us, right? But if we need 3 boys and there are only 2, so we would say that there are few boys and that's why we can't paint. So that few would be in negative sense, right? Now, the same goes with little and a little. Little is used in negative sense, a little is used in positive sense. For example, I don't like the tea because there is little sugar in it, right? I don't like the tea because there is little sugar in it. So little is used here in positive sense, right? Or if you say that I would like to have a little sugar in the tea. Now this a little is used in a positive sense, right? So if you have, and one thing more, few and a few are used before countable nouns, and little and a little are used before non-countable noun, right? Or non-count nouns. So friends is definitely a countable noun, right? And we use it in positive sense. If you have Dash good friends in life, life is worth living. Life is worth living is a positive statement, so we need a positive verb, a positive quantifier. If you have a few good friends is the right answer. B is the right answer. You are capable Dash anything you set your mind to. After capable we use of, right? So you are capable of anything you set your mind to. The frog jumped Dash the table, on, upon, above. Remember, when something is in this position, from this level, from this surface, and it is in rest, right? So we use above. Does it make sense? Okay. When something is already in contact with surface, we use on. But when something comes into contact, we use upon. So the frog jumped. The frog, when the frog jumps Dash the table, the frog has not yet reached the table. It will come into contact to the table, so we have to use upon here, right? Thank you very much. May we all get rid of this pandemic. and may Allah leash it out of Pakistan and of all the countries. Thank you.